Hotel Himalaya. That was over 20 years ago now, on a rainy April afternoon in the early 1990s. The bus we were getting on in Phnom Penh was a tourist junket to the ruins of Angkor. On the trip through the steamy jungle we exchanged the usual pleasantries. Anneke was Swedish, studying sociology in Stockholm, though her family was from icy Sundsvall further north. She was writing a thesis on the adjustment of former colonial societies to self-determination. This explained the exotic blazes of colorful visas in her passport. Laos, Malaysia, the Philippines, even Fiji, where she boasted of swimming naked in a crystal lagoon with fish as tame as newborn puppies. I wished I had tales as good as that to tell her. I'm afraid my story's far less interesting. I got divorced, my ex-wife cleaned me out, my father died of cancer 6 months ago. I sold my computer business and decided I'd backpack across Asia before going back home and re-enlisting in the rat race, which is more or less inevitable. It's not inevitable. Anneke's Grecian blue eyes flashed behind her glasses. It's a big world. Anything can happen. Wacken. A voice of conscience, of rationality, spoke up inside of her. Put the brakes on this. You know where it's going. You can't do that to Jay, to yourself. The counter-arguments and recriminations. What's to feel guilty about? I'm having a beer with a friend. Isn't that what Wacken is all about? Followed, but they all rang hollow. She knew that she desired this young man like almost no one else she'd ever encountered. He obviously liked her company. Due to the language barrier, it seemed hopeless to try to warn him that she had a boyfriend back home. He might not even care. Maybe he had a girlfriend back in Hungary, but she did not think so. She feared fate wouldn't let her off the hook that easily. No, even at this early juncture, Daria had a terrible growing certainty that it would turn out exactly the way she had once wanted and feared, that he'd continue to be every bit as charming and gentle and magnetic as he'd been up until now, that he was attracted to her as much as she to him, and that ultimately there would be a reckoning, but it was still far off. A roar rose from the crowd, both down below and on the platform. Andras hooted and whistled. On the true metal stage, the left-hand venue, band members in gaudy spandex appeared, and the stage lights flashed dramatically. The band was about to start. Daria smiled and whooped too. Andras smiled at her, winked, and then clinked his plastic beer stein against hers. "Wacken," he said simply. That was how it came out in his silky voice. Mountain of Shadows. Night. A cool desert wind blows sparks from the small campfire between the tents into whorl patterns in the air. Neither man is aware of it, but there's a wolf watching them, eyes glittering in the darkness, only a few yards away. The animal is dead still, waiting, listening, but not comprehending. Christian pours wine into his drink tin and then robs. 1.5 of the small bottles, there's still some left over from the evening they quarreled, makes a healthy glass of Beaujolais for each of them. It's the last night before they reach Montaña de las Sombras. The wind whistles. The moon is a crescent sliver. This Indian friend of yours, Michael, Christian sips from his tin cup. Does he believe that the souls of all people are identified with animals, or just his people? I don't know. Rob tears off a piece of jerky with his teeth and chews it. All people, I suppose. What do you think my spirit animal is? Rob thinks a while. The wind whistles again. A great owl. Why do you say that? Because you have big eyes that see many things, and you can see into the darkness. You're wise. You're still most of the time waiting in the trees. But when you decide to spread your wings, I bet you can fly higher and farther than any of the other birds.